All right, Bible readers, what can we learn from Saul of Tarsus? Hey, this is Eric Johansson, and this is a summary of Acts chapter 8, and it's designed to support my Bible reading challenge, which is currently Acts through Philemon, one chapter a day, 5 days a week for 23 weeks. So if you want to join that, it's not too late. You'd have, 8 chapters to catch up on, which isn't too much. So let's get into Acts. So I want to answer the question for you today is what we can learn from Saul of Tarsus. Saul of Tarsus is the man that eventually became the Apostle Paul. So first I need to kind of lay some groundwork, kind of frame this a little bit. So let's get real clear on who Saul of Tarsus was and who he became. And I'm going to do this in a brief fashion. So bear with me. In Acts 7, we saw the death of Stephen by stoning. So imagine having rocks thrown at you until you die. Big rocks, hitting your head, hitting your body until you die. It's not a merciful way. So Stephen is often considered the first martyr of the church. Whether that's actually the case or not, I don't know. It looks like it is from the Bible. All right, then in Acts 7:58, so I'm backing up here a little bit. This is a summary of Acts chapter 8, but I want to back up just a little bit into Acts 7 so that we can kind of see who this Saul of Tarsus is. So in Acts 7:58, it says we see that Saul was overseeing this murder. What the verse says is, and cast him out of the city and stoned him, and the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul. Okay, so it's with great certainty that we can say that Saul of Tarsus oversaw the murder of Stephen. Why? Well, because Stephen was, according to Saul of Tarsus, blaspheming the name of God by talking about Jesus Christ the way he did and talking about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The vast majority of Jews to this day do not believe that Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead. The Catholics leave him in the tomb, they wear him on a little cross, and they don't want to project that image that Jesus was resurrected. It's the defining thing between Christianity and all other world religions. So without the resurrection, Christianity is dead. Dead as Buddha. Okay? So it's a big deal. It's something to contend for, to debate over, to strive with people about. It's kind of like the penultimate thing of Christianity. Without resurrection, nothing else matters. Becoming a Christian, walking the Christian, the Christian walk, whatever else you could think of in terms of Christianity, if the resurrection didn't happen, it's all for naught. It's just a dead religion. Okay, so it's the biggest thing. All right, so then coming to Acts 8. Acts 8:1 says, and Saul was consenting unto his death. So again, just a reaffirmation of the fact that Saul was overseeing this death. And at that time, there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem, and they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. Hey, these apostles are tough dudes. So while the church is scattering and everybody's afraid, the apostles are like, nope, we're staying in Jerusalem. I'm sure God probably, told them, or they had some, instruction. It's not specifically, at least I don't think it is. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's specifically laid out in the Bible, but I'm thinking that God told them to hang tight. And they did. So Stephen gets buried, and Saul continues to make havoc of the church, entering homes and imprisoning men and women. Here's the verse 3. As for Saul, he made havoc of the church, entering into every house, and hailing men and women, committed them to prison. Meanwhile, those that Saul scattered continued preaching the word. Acts 8:4. Therefore, they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word. So Saul of Tarsus, unwittingly, he thought he was going to round all these people up and imprison them and kill them for blasphemy and all that kind of thing. Well, what he did was he basically punched the ground, caused everybody to scatter. Sure, he got a few, okay, Stephen being one of them, and I'm sure he imprisoned some others, but people scattered. And then guess what they did? They kept preaching the word. Okay, so Saul, in his murderous rage against what he thought was blaspheming, Christians, caused the word to get spread. So can you imagine what's going to happen when modern skinny jean worship leaders get scattered? Okay, that'd be some good video. I think that'd probably go viral. All right, so what can we learn from Saul of Tarsus? Hey, I think it's easy. And it's right here if you're watching the video, but primarily it's it's easy to make the mistake of being zealous about the wrong thing. That's it. So as Christians, as we go through our life, hey, let's be careful, what we're zealous about. There's, I often talk about this. There's time, there's things, there's doctrine, there's teachings that you should be dogmatic about, such as what I already mentioned, the resurrection. Okay, that is the defining thing of Christianity. Buddha's in his grave, Muhammad's dead, Allah is fake. Joseph Smith's a fraud. He's dead. You can go visit his tomb if you want to. But Jesus Christ, God raised him from the dead. His tomb is empty. Okay, so that's the thing. We can get dogmatic about that. Was Jesus born of a virgin? Hey, it matters. And so we should be dogmatic about it. We should defend that truth. And there's lots of other ones. But then there's other things that's like, is the world a sphere? Is the world flat? What did God make the heaven in Genesis 1, or did he make the heavens, as some other Bibles say? Look, these are good things to talk about, but I don't get dogmatic about those things. I'm not going to divide over those things, but I will divide over things like resurrection and virgin birth and things of that nature. Okay, so Paul was functioning under the Jewish law that mandated that blasphemy was punishable by death. So ultimately, Paul's, when he became the Apostle Paul, the Bible states that his conscience was clear before God. God did not hold him accountable because in his heart and mind, he was doing the right thing. He was being a good Jew. He was defending the name of God. And so God didn't hold him responsible for that. But coming back to Acts chapter 8 and the summary of that, little does Paul, Saul of Tarsus, little does he know that in a relatively short period of time, we don't know exactly, it could have been days, it was more likely a week or two, but we don't really know. The Bible doesn't say. But Saul of Tarsus is about to meet his maker face to face. That happens in Acts chapter 9. So come back tomorrow. And it's kind of the exciting conclusion of this book of Acts as a great transition, because up until Acts chapter 8, Acts has been a very Jewish book. Just a little bit of Greek stuff popping up here and there, but it's primarily been a Jewish book. When Saul meets Jesus Christ, then the book of Acts, I'm not going to say abruptly, there's still a lot of Jewish stuff happening throughout the book of Acts, but it becomes very Gentile oriented throughout the rest of the book. And then of course, when Romans comes along, Paul is the apostle to the Gentiles. And yes, he still reaches out to his brethren, the Jews, but God called him to the Gentiles. So anyway, that's Acts chapter 8. I hope that brings, kind of a high level of understanding as you read this chapter for yourself. And I encourage you to join my Bible reading challenge. Join me on Tuesday night for our live Bible study via Zoom. We have a small group. It's been good. People are learning things. People are having insights and kind of waking up to some important biblical truths. So all the notes, all the links are in the description. If you can't find it or whatever, just reach out to me. I can get you hooked up. All right. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps me. If you think this video might encourage or help somebody understand the Bible better, please share it with them. That also helps me. So I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a good Bible read.